It's time for Full Fat to end.
I've been very proud and very lucky to bring you guys fully scripted, edited videos, mostly once a week, for 6 years. It's allowed me to have a lot of creative freedom, it's satisfied an itch that I had to do things for myself, to engage in editing and writing, and talk about movies and TV and games in a way that I could really channel my enthusiasm and my passion. However, whether it's the ongoing saturation of this platform, or the emergence of TikTok,
How do you do, fellow kids?
or simply the fact that I'm getting on a bit, you see,
Don't let the cool gear fool you.
views just aren't what they used to be. Just taking a look at the last couple of months, I've been a far cry from a 100k video. My cornerstones, things like Doctor Who, used to feel like guaranteed hits. They do okay, but even they struggle to crack 100k. Videos like my MCU Time video or my Bloodsport video last year echo the views of old, but they're getting increasingly few and far between. My average views overall for the channel are getting lower. It's getting to the point in my career, with the skills I've accrued as an editor, that Full Fat is becoming just too time intensive for the money it's bringing in. Honestly, I think without my wonderful agent Helena and the sponsors she brings in, I think the channel would have expired already. She's been essential to keeping Full Fat going, and I can't thank her enough. Part of me wonders if this is all okay. Maybe this chunk of my life doing this stuff is reaching its twilight phase, and I've no regrets. I've loved doing it. It's allowed me to take on other work that I've also really enjoyed, and I'm eternally lucky to have this channel no matter where it goes. The last Full Fat video is inevitable. I've always known that since the first video dropped. I knew I would either move on to something else or croak. Hopefully the former. And I think if the views continue as they do, this will likely be the last year of Full Fat. However, we did have one idea. Patreon? Do you want to start giving the audience exclusive content and rewards for sticking around?
Yeah, sure, Ryan.
Full Fat Videos isn't done. Not
Yet.
But it is regenerating because I sincerely don't
Want to go?
And I figure I could give the Patreon a proper go, offer some more things that you can only get there, allow you to ask me queries, and have more power in what videos get made. And overall make Full Fat a bit more of an intimate experience. I want to make longer videos, and I want to restructure the channel away from weekly videos to more bi-weekly. Hopefully that will allow me to do things on a more epic scale, and it will reflect the extra time I can put into it. As for the exclusive Patreon content, I've streamlined everything down to 3 key tiers, and hopefully with each one you're getting some bang for your buck. For $3, the skimmed milk tier. I've really enjoyed doing the Full Fat podcast on and off over the years, and it had a pretty consistent audience that I like to engage with, but A, I feel like I want to make you feel like you're more of a part of the podcast if you listen, and B, I want it to give back to Full Fat so that it's a sustainable practice. At the end of 2020, editing the clips and full versions of the video podcast was a huge undertaking, and whilst a couple of thousand views is awesome for a podcast, it wasn't really sustainable for me trying to make a living with the channel full time. So from here on out, the Full Fat podcast is going to be a Patreon weekly exclusive. It's going to be an audio-only podcast for now, with Mr. Charlie Lee back alongside some other recurring guests, and some special guests that I'm quite excited to show off. The second big thing for this tier is you'll get a weekly exclusive written essay, or review, or retrospective. This is for a few reasons. I want to scratch the itch on weekly content still, even if the videos are going to be coming roughly every 2 weeks. I want to talk about current releases without necessarily devoting a whole video to it, like Argyle or Madam Web or True Detective Night Country or Helldivers 2. I want to also be able to find an outlet for more niche topics that maybe wouldn't warrant taking 2 weeks to deliver, so I think this part of the first tier is going to be really good. Oh, and of course you'll still get your name in the credits of every video. For $10, the semi-skimmed milk tier, we got a big boy. A whole ass Full Fat video, scripted and filmed, exclusive to Patreon once a month. I'm not releasing these fully on YouTube, these are going to be just for patrons. So overall, hopefully every month there will be 2 Full Fat videos on the channel and 1 exclusive video on Patreon. This tier will also give you the ability to write in with your weekly questions for the Q&A that will be taking place on the Full Fat Podcast. So if you want to know my opinion on something pop culture, this is the tier for you. I'll also be regularly sending this tier a poll of options on the next Full Fat video, so you get voters' rights as to what I do next. Sometimes I'll definitely be enthused to do something, and I'll do that because I think it's the right thing to do, but I can often get torn between topics, and sometimes that is a bit paralysing, so now you guys can actually vote and say, no Full Fat, do this please. I'll also be throwing in video scripts for every video as PDFs, and of course, you can get everything from the previous tier, so a thank you in the credits, the weekly essays, the podcast. And then for $100, the Full Fat Milk tier, I mean, honestly, I'll be an absolute whore for that money.
How about I give you guys some hand jobs?
What is it? Huh?
I'm astounded that over the years my most loyal patrons have given me $100 bills, and I really appreciate it because that is a game-changing donation for the channel. For this, you'll get absolutely everything from the previous tiers, as well as a bespoke filmed thank you at the end of every video, and then you can get the ability to suggest full fat video topics that I will workshop with you and actually make. But this is a super premium tier, as ever. I don't expect anyone to go for this. If you do, you're a bloody legend. Dr. GK. I don't like generally complaining on here about the state of the channel. I see a lot of YouTubers doing it, and publicly I just think it's natural to get these peaks and troughs, and I think it's the kind of thing you shouldn't really divulge unless you really need the help. Well, I do really need the help. I need to hit a goal on Patreon that will allow Full Fat to keep trucking regardless of the views, and I think overall pivoting to making Patreon revenue the priority over YouTube revenue will only make the videos more enthusiastic from me, and more interesting, and hopefully so much better. These things are not set in stone, but they're what I want to do going forward for now. If you have a real hankering for something like early releases, then I'm happy to keep this thing evolving. So do let me know in the comments below what you think and what you might want exclusively on Patreon.
The link to this Patreon will be in the description below.
Thank you for listening to this. Thank you for ever donating in the past. Thank you for potentially donating in the future. This is not the end of Full Fat videos. I'm doing Series 9 with 12, I'm doing a Matrix Resurrections, I'm doing a No Way Home, I'm coming back. This will not be the last Full Fat video. Oh, and I'm bringing back the moo. I thought it was corny after a while, but a fair few of you like it too much to care, and I thought it was silly, I got rid of it, so yeah.